Hi dear friends and subscribers of Cricket Happenings. Welcome to the Cricket Happening Show with your host Ram as usual. Well, as far as this Cricket Happening Show is concerned, we are going to look at New Zealand winning the series in a very convincing fashion by not allowing India to have a single victory under their belt in this one-day series and taking the one-day series 4-0. So it's totally New Zealand blanking India in this series 4-0. And the fifth one-day international victory was something which came off very easily. In fact, they won by 87 runs in this particular match, which was played at the Westpac Stadium here in Wellington. And then we will look at Australia's total domination of England in all the formats of the game on this tour, where England lost the Ashes Test series, they lost the one-day international series, and now they have today, with the second T20 being won by Australia in a very comfortable way by 8 wickets. It really seals the story as far as England is concerned, as Australia have totally dominated England and they have defeated England in all the 3 formats of the game, and it also enables Australia to go up in the ICC rankings. As far as England are concerned, they have dropped to number 8. So England have a lot of soul searching to do, they have a lot of work to do. And the news that is coming in is Andy Flower has been told to step down by the new director of ECB, Paul Downton, the former wicketkeeper batsman, who has already taken over the English cricket board. So basically Australia completely dominating, and they won the T20 series. They only one to go, which is a mere formality. But what was interesting was that Australia totally dominating England with all the new faces, all the reserves coming in and really coming into the party in a very big way. Well, we'll talk about that. And well, let's start off with the fifth one-day international between New Zealand and India, which was very important, as I said, for India. They have not had a single victory under the belt after entering the New Zealand shores. The only thing that they came very close was that Ravindra Jadeja in the third one-day international brought the match to a tie with his very good hitting. But as far as this match was concerned, this was played at the Westpac in Wellington, where India were once again, always India has been lucky as far as winning the toss is concerned, but not as far as winning the match is concerned, as Mahendra Singh Dhoni once again winning the toss here and inserting New Zealand into bat. Well, the Indian bowlers, the opening bowlers Mohammad Shami and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar did a good turn for India by keeping the runs down and also picking up wickets. Jesse Ryder was the first victim. Now Jesse Ryder has finished off this series with a I wouldn't say it has not been a good series for Jesse Ryder at all. He has been only getting 7, 15 and 20 runs. He has never been going over that, and that would be something that New Zealand would be definitely thinking about, as Jesse Ryder once again went to a loose shot of the bowling of Bhuvaneshwar Kumar for 17 of 26 balls with 1-4 and 1-6. Guptill followed him to the pavilion when the New Zealand score reached 41, as Varun Arun picked up his wicket as he was caught by Mohammad Shami for 16 of 35 balls with 2 fours, and both the openers were dismissed with the score on 41 after 12.2 overs. And as you know, this particular series, we have seen that every time the chips have been down, there are 2 persons who have always come to rescue them from the situation, build up the innings, then go and score in a very big way. And that's what precisely happened. Kane Williamson, who has been a picture of consistency, who has already got into a record of scoring 5 consecutive centuries in 5 one-day internationals against India, and I'm sure that is a record against India, there's no doubt about that. But what a player Kane Williamson. I mean, his talent is something which is absolutely a pleasure to watch, because he is the classic type of batsman who gets in behind the line of the ball in a very wonderful way. His technique is absolutely impeccable. He likes to, I mean, he's placed the spinners pretty well. And at the other end, it was Ross Taylor on the heels of a century. I mean, Ross Taylor has been in some great form in this series. First, he actually hit against West Indies. He hit 3 one-day centuries, and here, getting into a back-to-back centuries, Ross Taylor went on to carve his second one-day century. Now, as I said, the situation for New Zealand at that particular time was 41 for 2, and it definitely required someone to stay at the crease. Kane Williamson was playing second fiddle. Ross Taylor was taking a full toll of any loose deliveries that was served to him. And let me tell you, this pitch was not very easy to bat on. The ball was not coming very easily onto the bat. Besides, the outfield was very slow. And I thought New Zealand did pretty well thanks to this wonderful partnership of 152 runs between Kane Williamson, who contributed 88 of 91 balls with 8 fours and 1 6, and Ross Taylor going on to get his 10th one-day international century and his second in this one-day series, making 102 of 106 balls with 10 fours and 1 6, and both of them chiseled together a partnership, playing almost they played 25 overs. They occupied 25 overs, and they had taken this New Zealand score on to 193 with that 152 run partnership. They were absolutely not in any trouble. They played the spinners very well, as they are the best players of spin bowling as far as New Zealand are concerned. And one thing I would like to talk about Ross Taylor is that this is the first time that one good thing happening for New Zealand, according to me, is Ross Taylor's form and Ross Taylor's batting. Because Ross Taylor has always, when Martin Crowe, the former great batsman from New Zealand, retired, one was talking about Ross Taylor, who would be the person who would be replacing him. But Ross Taylor definitely showed early promise, but later on one saw that his consistency was something which was pretty lacking. But now Ross Taylor, I'm sure he has definitely taken a cue from the former great batsman Martin Crowe, who has passed on a lot of tips to him, and it all happened in the West Indies tour, and after that there has been absolutely no looking back. And Ross Taylor, according to me, now I can very, very fairly say that Ross Taylor has definitely taken the place of Martin Crowe in New Zealand cricket. And Ross Taylor blossomed in the way he can normally, and he carved 102 runs of 106 balls, 10 fours and 1 6 before this wonderful partnership was broken when Kane Williamson was a victim of the bowling of Aaron. I also once saw Kane Williamson really shimmying down the track to hit the spinners, which was very good to see. And he also hit one very good 6, and that was the 6 which Kane Williamson, when he strikes sixes, he does it in an orthodox manner, and that's what he precisely did. He hit Mohammad Shami in twinkling toes over extra cover for a 6. So 88 of 91 balls for him, and what a series for both Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor. So Williamson was back to the pavilion at 193 in the 38th over. Brendan McCullum came in, contributed 23 runs of 18 balls with 1 4 and 1 6 before Virat Kohli got the wicket of Brendan McCullum. After that, Ross Taylor was there almost till the end, piloting the innings, and when the 48th over, Ross Taylor's wicket was gone, as Ross Taylor was caught by Dhawan of the bowling of Mohammad Shami for 102 of 106 balls with 10 fours and 1 6. In the end, Jimmy Neesham pinched out unbeaten 34 runs of just 19 deliveries, 3 fours and 2 sixes. Luke Ronchi was not out on 11 of 5 balls with 2 fours. And New Zealand, I thought, on a not a very easy pitch to bat on, definitely had something in for the bowlers. And New Zealand put up a score of 303 for 5 for 50 overs, which was absolutely commendable. And one thing that I would like to tell here, that New Zealand had a person by the name, I said, the quickie Matt Henry, who was making his debut, and what a debut he had. He had a dream debut here, because he was the one, I will talk about that, he was the one who actually got 4 wickets for 38 runs on his one-day international debut. You can't expect a much better debut, and that too against a strong team like India. Let's look at the bowling figures. Now, as I said, the pitch had something in it, but I thought the Indian bowlers lacked something there. Mohammad Shami, 10 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 61 for Mohammad Shami. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, 8 overs, 48 runs on 1 wicket. Varun Arun, 10 overs, 60 runs on 2 wickets. Ashwin bowled 6 overs for 37. Ravindra Jadeja, 9 overs for 54. And Virat Kohli, 7 overs, no maiden, 1 for 36. As far as India were concerned, even though the score of 300 was pretty tough to chase, and especially considering that India would be would be wanting to get at least get win under the belt. They were under pressure, and India, well, they started with Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan today coming into the team. Stuart Binney, who just bowled 1 over in that particular previous match, was left out today in preference to Shikhar Dhawan. So Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma, and once again the one that has been really failing India once again failed, as the openers Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma were sent back to the pavilion pretty quickly. The first to go was Rohit Sharma, who actually got a ball which he tried to dab it from the slip area, and Taylor taking the catch. He was gone for 4 of the bowling of Mills of 13 balls. Shikhar Dhawan, and that was Matt Henry, as I said, had made his debut. Kyle Mills was bowling some very good lines. McLennan was getting the ball to swing. Matt Henry came in, and Matt Henry, on his one-day international debut, got his maiden one-day international wicket, as he picked up the wicket of Shikhar Dhawan, who was caught by Nathan McCullum of the bowling of Henry for 9 of 28 balls with 1-4. After that, Virat Kohli was at crease, but Virat Kohli saw Ajinkya Rahane being dismissed by Matt Henry for 2. And Matt Henry, as I said, is a left arm, is a quickie, and he really bowled superbly. And especially considering that he was a very, in the sense, India have never actually faced him, so it was a sort of a very real surprise element for New Zealand there, and it was a real surprise element for India, in the sense they were absolutely surprised by the bowling of Matt Henry, and I thought the New Zealand selectors did a good thing by bringing Matt Henry in, and this really shows that there's a lot of reserve pace talent left in this New Zealand tank. And Matt Henry picked up the wicket of Ajinkya Rahane for 2, and he also and then it was Virat Kohli was looking good. I mean, Virat Kohli, whatever he does, and he has been very consistent. Not only that, whatever he does it with lots of elegance, and even when he was actually defending the ball, one could see how close he was getting to the ball, watching the ball till the last minute, and beautifully defending. Not only that, his strokes are something which are a real sight to watch. When he drives, it is absolutely splendid, and that's what he was doing. He was Ambati Rayudu today could contribute only 20 runs. As I said, Matt Henry came in and picked up those 3 wickets after Rohit Sharma was gone. When he picked up the wicket of Dhawan, he picked up the wicket of Rahane, and he also picked up the wicket of Ambati Rayudu for 40 balls with 2 fours. And India were in a similar situation as how they have been doing in the previous in this one-day international series so far. And once again, the onus was on Mahendra Singh Dhoni and Virat Kohli, as India were 78 for 4 in the 24th over. So in the 24th over, Virat Kohli and Dhoni once again had to do the repair job, which they did, and they did it I wouldn't say very successfully, but they did it to whatever extent they could by adding some quick runs and really getting the run rate to go up a notch. But that was the time Virat Kohli, after contributing 78 runs, was the victim of Nathan McCullum after making a wonderful 82 of 78 balls with 7 fours and 3 sixes. And then Ashwin came in, and Dhoni couldn't get much support from the other end, as Ashwin was clean bowled by Williamson for 7 of 11 balls with 1 4. Jadeja couldn't contribute much. He was gone for 5 of 6 balls with 1 4. The pressure started building on India, and Dhoni, well, he was running out of partners, and when Jadeja went, Dhoni decided to go for the strokes, but Dhoni also succumbed, caught by Neesham of the bowling of Williamson for 47 of 72 balls with 3 fours, and it was all over. Bhuvneshwar Kumar contributed 20 of 25 balls with 1 4. Matt Henry getting his 4th wicket and his 4 wickets on his one-day international debut, returning figures of 10 overs, 1 maiden, 38 runs and 4 wickets on his one-day international debut. What a debut for Matt Henry. Mohammad Shami was not out on 14 of 15 balls with 1 6. Varun Arun was cleaned up by James Neesham for duck, and that was all over. India, I wouldn't say they really put up any fight. 216 they replied with, losing the match by 87 runs and also losing the series 4-0 to New Zealand. As far as the New Zealand bowling was concerned, Kyle Mills, who has always been pretty impressive in this one-day series, 10 overs on maiden, 2 for 35. Clenahan 10 overs for 45. Matt Henry was the most successful bowler Nisham 5.4 overs, no maiden, 1 for 45, bit costly. Nathan McCullum 10 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 33, bowled very economically. And Kane Williamsons bowling 4 overs, no maiden, and also picking up 2 for 19 wickets to add up his batting. Well, the player of the match went to Ross Taylor of New Zealand. I wouldn't know about the player of the series, but I'm sure my player of the series would definitely be Kane Williamson for hitting 5 consecutive 50s in this one-day international series against India. What a player, Kane Williamson. Absolutely, extremely talented, and now his talent is absolutely coming to the fore. So Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor, according to me, was the real difference. And over and above that, as you would know, New Zealand didn't have Corey Anderson, the big hitter, but still, with whatever talent they have been winning matches. That really shows New Zealand cricket is really peaking at this particular time, and they could be strong contenders even for the T20 World Cup in Bangladesh. Well, so let's shift on from here, shift the gears here to the second T20 match between Australia and England, which was played at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. It's a day-night encounter, and England were the ones who batted first. As you know, Australia definitely keeping in view the T20 World Cup. What the selectors were doing is that they had rung in a lot of changes. They brought Mitchell Starc back. Josh Hazlewood was given an opportunity, and Josh Hazlewood grabbing this opportunity with both hands by becoming the man of the match, bowling 4 overs, no maiden, 30 runs and 4 wickets. And Josh Hazlewood has been doing very well so far, but you know, due to the competition in Australian cricket, Josh Hazlewood has not been able to get a look in. But I thought he's a very good bowler. He has been performing admirably well in the Australian domestic circuit, especially in the Big Bash League. He has been bowling pretty well. And England today didn't have any answer to the Australian bowling, as in fact, this particular match started with George Bailey, the Australian captain, really springing a surprise by giving the first use of the cherry to Brad Hodge, the 39-year-old who had actually made his comeback into the Australian team. So he was given an opportunity. The very first over he bowled, he was taken for runs by Michael Lump, who carved him for boundaries. But Brad Hodge just bowled 1 over, no maiden, none for 10. So that was and after that, Brad Hodge definitely came into the picture with some brilliant bowling from the Australian bowlers. And Brad Hodge was always there in the initial stage when he had a hand in the wicket of Luke Wright when he was caught brilliantly by Hodge of the bowling of Starc for a duck. And then he had a big hand in those runouts that happened where Ian Morgan couldn't ground the bat onto the crease. The bat was in the air, and Hodge, from extra cover with pinpoint precision, had threw down the stumps, and Ian Morgan was run out for 6. That was a big wicket for Australia. And England, as I said, they were really caught. I mean, they were really searching like a rabbit in the headlights, with the Australian bowling being so superb, with Brad Hodge 1 over for 10 runs, Coulter Nile 4 overs, 1 for 29, Mitchell Starc bowling very economically, 4 overs, no maiden, 1 for 19, stopping, I mean, really throttling this England run flow. Hazlewood 4 overs, no maiden, 4 for 30, Maxwell 1 over for 7, and 4 overs, 1 for 17. James Muirhead, the right arm leg spinner, was very impressive with his line, and right arm leg spinner bowling 4 overs for 17 runs with 1 wicket was something which would go a long way for James Muirhead, who is an extremely talented leg spinner coming in from Australia. Cameron White 2 overs for 14. So England, as I said, Hales was out for 16 of 13 balls with 3 fours. Michael Lump contributing 18 of 15 balls with 4 fours. Luke Wright was out for blob. Joe Root was run out for 18 of 14 balls with 3 fours. Morgan, as I said, run out for 6 of 3 balls. Josh Butler was the highest scorer, contributing 22 of 27 balls with 2 fours. There was absolutely not a single 6 hit in the entire England innings of 130. Bresnan was out for 80 in the end, when the time was, one probably thought at that time when 96 for 7, what would be England's score, and then it required Tim Bresnan and Stuart Broad to contribute 18 apiece of 19 balls with 1 4, and Broad making an unbeaten 18 of 15 balls with 1 4, and finally 130 for 9 of 20 overs was never going to look a score that could challenge Australia, and it definitely proved so, as Australia, once again, Cameron White, I'm sure he has definitely stamped his authority on this game by being an opener, and I think we would definitely be seeing Cameron White and Aaron Finch opening in the T20 World Cup. I wouldn't be. I think I would be really surprised if Cameron White is not given an opportunity, because Cameron White again showed what a brilliant hitter of the ball he is. But today he didn't hit any sixes, but he hit 9 fours in an unbeaten knock of 58 of 45 balls with 9 fours. Because Australia today, even though they were chasing 130, they lost two quick wickets, with Aaron Finch LBW bowled Breston for 10 of 11 balls with 2 fours, and Maxwell being caught by Breston on the bowling of Treadwell for 2, and that was the time the score was 53 for 2. After that, there was absolutely no looking back, as Cameron White smashed the bowlers with an unbeaten 58 of 45 balls with 9 fours, and he combined with George Bailey, the captain, who really I would say added some real thrust into this Australian innings by hitting a quick fire unbeaten 60 runs of just 28 deliveries with 7 fours and 3 sixes. He bludgeoned the English bowling to all parts of the ground, and in the end, even though Australia were 53 for 2 in 7 overs, they went on to a victory by 8 wickets without getting separated, and this partnership had actually put a very brilliant 79 runs partnership to take Australia to a victory by 8 wickets, and thus also taking the T20 series 2-0 with only 1 to go as a mere formality. 131 for 2. The bowling, Broad 3 overs went for 29. Dernbash was the one who was really received some severe tap from the Australian batsmen Bailey and White, as he was really taken to the cleaners with 3 overs for 42 runs with no wicket to his name. Bresnan was the most economical and also picked up the wicket of Aaron Finch, 1 for 11. Treadwell bowled 3.5 overs, no maiden, 1 for 37. 2 overs for 12 runs for Bopara. And Josh Hazlewood, for his brilliant bowling of 4 wickets for 30 runs, took the Man of the Match award. And that was it. As I said, Australia have dominated England in all formats of the game on this England tour of Australia, and England have nothing to take home now. At the most, if they could actually get a win in the match, which is going to be a mere formality at the Sydney Cricket Ground with the third T20, I'm sure Australia are going to do a bit more experimentation here. One probably thought that, but one thing that I would like to say here, as far as this match is concerned, is that Brad Hodge, even though he couldn't bat because of Bailey and Cameron White taking them to victory, I would say one thing, that Brad Hodge, one thing I saw at the age of 39, Brad Hodge, what he showed is that he still has some great reflexes to throw the ball, get the wicket of Ian Morgan by throwing the ball from extra cover with pinpoint precision to crack the stumps. That was absolutely splendid, and even though he couldn't bat, but he definitely contributed in the field. And for Australia, what was good was that their batting was good, their bowling was superb, their fielding was excellent, and that's what enabled them to have a comprehensive win by 8 wickets in the second T20 match, which was played at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. And now the third T20 third and the final T20 and the last match of the England tour of Australia takes place at the Sydney Cricket Ground with this T20 match on the 2nd of February 2014. So if at all England can take that match, that would at least give them some solace. Otherwise, England have been absolutely swamped by Australia on this tour. Well, dear fans and subscribers, that doesn't give me any other room to talk about anything on cricket. That sums up my Cricket Happening show for today. Hope you all liked it. There's nothing else for the present, but tomorrow your host Ram will once again be with you. But as you know, always on Saturday, you'll have to wait for my late Cricket Happening show on Saturday. Thanks for your company, and thanks for taking the pleasure to watch this watch this Cricket Happening show. Your host Ram would like to take leave now, but promising you that you'll be seeing me tomorrow. Until then, it's goodbye for the day. Thank you.